Nyarel looms, its power beating the song of battle, calling us to war. Cast your excuses into the dirt. They have faced their limits 1,000 times, but still they press forward. We are what we overcome. For in battle, we are reborn. And in glory, we are paid today as Vitality B will face on BDSA. Let this day be legend. Let this day be yours for all time. Welcome to the Amazon European Masters.
Specjalne dostępne, tak samo jak i dostępne jest to Wombo Combo ze strony Agoro!
We are live from Berlin yet again for another beautiful day of the Amazon European Masters. It counts day 3 of the knockout stage. And today we have LFL versus LFL. So I'm going to say it. Bonjour, comment ça va? Je m'appelle Alexandre Acharon-Maia and I'm your host for the day. And I would like to introduce to you my team, the lovely and amazing Wikipedia from LVP itself, Noah, and my brother from another mother that has been casting NLC, LEC, LPL, you name it, Jamada. How
Come
you
on,
doing?
don't try and inflate my ego this much the first day you're here, Archer. Hey man, welcome to the
I'm
stage!
so happy, man. You have no idea. I'm so happy to be here, man. How you doing? You doing fine?
I'm doing great.
What about you, Noah?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. I wouldn't define myself as Wikipedia of anything, as I forget everything all the time, but I'm so excited to be here once again with you guys.
You know, let's put it to the test, because yesterday we had an amazing series. Everybody was doubting on NLC heroes, especially Jamada, as they took upon LDLC, but we got 5 beautiful games. So Jamada, since you felt predictions, I'm going to start with you, Noah. What did you think about the series?
Wow, that was crazy, best of 5, and I honestly didn't believe that it went all straight to the 5th map when Dusty put up the 2 and 1. I really thought they were gonna make it and save us for 3 teams LFL semifinals, but in the end it was a tough 5th map for them. Honestly, they showed up, they came really prepared to this best of 5 versus probably the toughest rival in the whole competition.
Yeah, I mean, favorites going into this bracket here. I think the fact that Dusty were first to the punch, I think the fact that this game, or this series rather, ended up being so draft dependent as well, was something I was really surprised about, because realistically, this was always going to be an uphill battle from the get-go, and it didn't feel like it inside the series. I felt like it was always Dusty kind of one step ahead. It's just unfortunate when it came to that 5th map, everything came up LDLC.
Hey, it was close. I actually believed on Dusty so much I made a bet. It's not a good bet for me, but let's move it on. As today we have the dominance of LFL. Let's be honest, it's going to be Vitality B versus BDSA, and LFL has been dominating constantly on the European Masters. We know we should call it France Masters, but what can we say about LFL at this point?
Honestly, the dominance from the LFL is absolutely stunning. The numbers are just a nonsense. In international terms, I've never seen this amount of dominance. Like, they only lost 6 maps in the whole tournament. 2 of them were yesterday, to put it in context. For example, LVP lost 8 maps. I think NLC, it's 13 right now. And we played less than half of the games that LFL as a region played during this tournament. They have almost 90% of win ratio in this tournament. That kind of reminds me of the LCK era in the World Championship during, I don't know, season 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, plain and simple, LFL are the most winningest domination team region, rather, right now. And I mean, it goes to say, right, they not only are they going to have 3 teams in this semi-finals, of course, 3-time back-to-back champion right now. Anything short of unicorns at this tournament, in my mind right now, isn't really going to stand up to the LFL dominance.
Can we say that the winners of today's matchup will be the new favorites in the tournament, Yamada?
You know what? Yes, I would say so. I think after yesterday's series, because LDLC, let's be real, that was supposed to be a clean 3-0. Maybe you drop a game if you get a little bit complacent by game 2. That was what most people were expecting. That's not what we got. So I think the fact that LDLC struggled, okay, sure, NLC champions, Dusty, whatever, let's be real. The gap is still very much existent. It should have been a 3-0. I think the fact that they struggled so hard now kind of leaves doubts in my mind about whether they are the true favorites. I think, like you say, today, whoever wins today in my head is probably the favorites. BDSA, Vitality B, maybe Unicorns kind of trailing at third, but again, it's still all about the French.
I'm going to move on, but before that, Noah, we still have one team from your country.
Yes.
Do you believe?
I do not make this mistake anymore. You should learn those. You should learn that lesson.
I've been learning.
It's like, okay, we got the quarterfinals. It is okay. I'm ready for anything. If it's at 3-0, it is okay. I'm fine. I have no heart in my chest anymore that my teams can break anytime. Yamada was there in spring, where all my hopes and my happiness went all down after a 3-0 versus Vitality.
So today, as you can see, it is all about the LFL teams, as 2 of them will face each other directly on the Rift. So let's take a look back at how they fared during their own playoffs in Summer Split.
Yeah, it was pretty close, honestly. The Summer Split in the LFL, and honestly, the Spring Split as well, it was LDLC, dominating on this triple tie between, I think it was Game War Vitality and BDS Academy, but BDS Academy got the upper bracket, and that's the advantage they needed, because not only that, because of the upper bracket, I mean, they defeated LDLC as well in the winners semifinal, to put it in some way, and that is also this kind of feeling, you beat the favorite, you beat the team that dominated your region, it kind of gives you this favorite team aura, to put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing happened in the LEC format as well, when you think about it, right? G2 stomped through the entire top bracket, and we saw what happened in finals. And it was a bit of a repeat, obviously slightly different format here in the LFL. I think, realistically, though, BDSA probably should have maybe won, but LDLC were just...
In the Summer Split, in the best of ones, they were so close. Yeah. The whole teams, not LDLC was above, but the rest were so close.
They were. I mean, for me, BDSA, I don't think my expectations are as tempered as they maybe were coming into the tournament anymore.
Oh.
I think now that I've kind of had a little more time to see how these teams have sort of fallen, and now that the dust has settled and we're well into quarters, I feel like they are the strongest that we have right now, again, contextually after seeing LDLC.
Okay.
And I think when you look at how they match up against Vitality B, who, again, they didn't actually get a best of 5 in the LFL, I'm hoping that they have the sort of, I don't want to say flexibility, because I think that definitely edges over to Vitality B, but the preparation ready to deal with some of the flexibility that Vitality B definitely have, because at least in my head, BDSA slightly more one-track mind in some of their gameplay.
It could get very spicy in today's series, especially after Vitality B's coach, Realistic, told us about that he is eager to take on BDS Academy because he wants revenge.
As in a personal preference, I would probably want to play BDS based on the fact that I worked with one of their players and I have a close relationship with him. So that would be very, very interesting to play. They also know a lot about our style, and so do we about their style. I think that matchup is going to be something very, very contested, but also I think Game World is someone interesting, because to me, I don't want to sound rude, but they ended up being a little baby Vitality in the last month or so. So I think both of those matchups would be very interesting to play. And then LDLC is just a powerhouse by their own, and we took them to 5 games. and I would obviously want to take the revenge on them. So regardless of which teams, like which of these teams we would get, I would be happy playing them all. But obviously, like BDS would be my personal preference.
No, revenge is a good way to bring back some energy versus the enemy team. No,
It is a powerful word.
it is a powerful word.
Revenge is a very powerful word. I think it was in spring where those teams clashed in the best of 5. Some players have changed, mostly for the side of BDS Academy, but yeah, it's going to be a banger series, honestly. Yesterday we had an unexpected 5th game, but today I'm expecting this to happen.
I just won 5 games, to be honest. I won 5 games today. It's going to be a French fist fight today, so let's dive a little bit deeper in one of the teams. Let's get to know Vitality B. They finished 2nd in their group, the only LFL team that got 2nd place in the group. But let's look at this stacked lineup, Jamada.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, top to bottom, there's just experience everywhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
From Sagenda to Jeskla Jack Troll, even Skeens in his own right, Diplex as well now has a lot of experience under his belt. This lineup, like what you can kind of say about every LFL team, it's just talent everywhere. And there's no real, I feel like on a lot of very strong teams, there's always at least one lane position where you can be like, okay, this guy might be a little bit behind the rest of his team, but they're still such a strong team as a unit that it kind of makes up for it. I feel like Vitality B is not one of those lineups. They're just like everyone can play or be played for and always meet that very, very high ceiling that you'd expect from these LFL teams. And in Vitality B's case, they love to lean on Sagenda.
So, Noah, he's talking about mostly the top lane. What else can we expect from Vitality B? Or is it mostly about the top lane in the end?
It is mostly about the top lane. LFL has a stacked top lane talent. Honestly, I really love their aggressiveness in that lane. But you, as Jamada was talking about, this lineup is so experienced. I mean, as Sagenda knows what it is to win European Masters, but Jack Troll is also experienced player as well. He didn't win European Masters. He climbed through the Challenger Series to the LEC, but Jeskla as well has a lot of experience under his belt. And I know even Jeskla had a really bad game in that Unicorns of Love versus Vitality B in the group stage. He's able to carry this game. Diplex is a very young player with an amazing amount of talent in his hands that also can step forward. And this is what Jamada was talking about. Everyone can carry in this lineup. But this happens too with BDSA.
But you brought in a subject, I think it was yesterday or today in the morning, like if they don't get the lead in the beginning of the game, they actually might fall. So let's see if that happens throughout the day. But talking about BDSA. Now, Jamada, where should we look into this team? Surprise me.
It's the solo lanes, specifically Adam. Why wouldn't it be Adam?
So top lane?
It's top lane, yeah.
Love
so
it.
kind of in a very similar vein, but also somewhat kind of contrasting to Vitality B. Vitality B are more about the mid-game power spike, right? Giving Sagenda the goal to take over the team fights with the rest of his team. BDSA is all about fight, 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 fight. They are just going to fist fight you from start to finish, and it all comes from very aggressive champion pool from Adam. Rika always almost seemingly having first move and pairing up with Shio to ensure that they're effectively always in the position to support Adam or occasionally even, yes, go down towards Crownie and Erdote, but they feel like the secondary component to this lineup. It's more about, again, snowballing Adam's very damn aggressive champion pool and ensuring that they are always very confident and happy to allow him to have that kind of freedom to just flourish in his 1v1s.
And you brought it up. They kind of draw inspiration from LPL,
Yes.
where they constantly have that mid rotating, and then we jump into the top lane as we were talking about. And at this moment, what else can we highlight from this team, BDSA?
I mean, besides top lane, Rika, I mean, he didn't have the best split in the LEC, but he was a promising talent. I remember last year in 2021 European Masters, in 2021 Summer European Masters, and he's a talent here as well. I mean, he's gonna threaten the silence. He's gonna help Adam as well. You can expect a lot of rooms from the side of Adam as well because he's absolutely totally crazy, plays out of his mind. This is a team that is gonna roll over you. That's what we got to see in these European Masters, because I don't know how to value these teams isolatedly, because they just stomped almost everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the scary thing about BDSA, and I want to quickly build on that Rika point, because I think a lot of people would have very publicly seen how Rika was doing in the LEC last split, and he wasn't really fitting into this style that BDSA were, or rather Mad Lions were trying to put forward, and it feels like if this version of Rika was there last split, it would have probably been a much better fit. But now he's here with this BDSA lineup, and again, it's just suiting the playstyle they want to go towards, which is making sure that Adam is basically allowed as much freedom as he can be afforded, and it's all coming from Roam's strong 2v2s from the mid jungle, and then again, Adam having that freedom to just do whatever he wants in the 1v1.
Give me I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give me something by Vitality TV can look at BDSA and take it away. Like, this is your weakness. We can actually win by doing this.
Honestly, preying on Adam's over-aggressiveness from time to time. If you can try to shut down the 2v2 from both Shio and Rika, and maybe draft yourself a first-moving mid-lane champion, right? Maybe try and hold counterpick for mid. As long as you can actually have first move from Diplex up towards the top side, I think you can actually use that as a very consistent way to try and shut down Adam and BDSA.
Play the enemy's game in your favor. I like that idea. But let's look into the top lane because my analysts want to dive in onto that specific one. Top lane is key. So let's look into this champion roster. Like the way he plays Olaf, Darius disappeared, but it was there nonetheless. It's really important. If only you took away Aatrox and you slapped in Pantheon, I would be happy with that one. Let's talk about Adam then and what he can excel at the top lane.
I mean, the guy is just, and Ragnar said it yesterday in the interview, he's just so uncomfortable to play against him because of the odd champion pool, because of how he plays the map. I mean, roaming players are always a pain for other teams when they are not expecting that to happen, or they are not ready to answer to those rotations. He's gonna threaten every single lane, and the guy, as Yamada was saying, is willing to fight you every single time, every single moment. He's gonna be waiting for you in a bush. He's gonna burn on the ghost. He's gonna run towards you until he kills you. Oh, this clip is just so painful to me.
The fact that he's very frequently looking for angles to find lethal at seemingly, according to this clip, 100% HP, it kind of just goes to show how happy he is to, I won't say take the flip, because to me, Adam, that's kind of what it feels like a lot of the time, and that's where some of my issues with Adam come from. But again, if he's able to make it work and BDSA facilitate it, it's a playstyle you can always lean on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so do you think these two top laners are the best top laners right now in the RLs? And is Adam the best one? Jamada.
Okay, look.
I'm baiting you.
So, again,
He's baiting you.
I'm more for calculated aggression. I feel like sometimes Adam doesn't take into account that the jungle role exists from time to time. It's definitely a weakness that I feel like has been cleaned up a little bit more since his Fnatic split, or his last LEC split rather. So, you know, it's kind of come and go. It depends on what you want from a top laner, right? I think to me, Sagenda screams a little more consistency and a little more reliability, where he can still play all of these carries, play this aggressive style if he wants to in the 1v1, but he's a lot more respectful of not just his opponent, but the rest of the map state, so that he's not just getting 2v1, 3v1 consistently.
And we keep highlighting these top laners, but we are not the only ones highlighting this one, as yesterday Orchid had an interview with someone to understand why Adam is so good. So let's listen to Ragnar.
You talk about Sagenda, you talk about Adam. Who's the toughest opponent? Be honest.
Adam, because he has like really different pool than the other top laners, because it's also like really annoying to play against him, because I'm seeing it really because too much, but he have Darius, Olaf, some unique champs that he can only play in this tournament, and he can be really annoying. He's also always moving on the map, like you don't even realize he's just vanishing, then you forget to assess him, you know?
Yeah.
And he's getting kills like this. It's kind of annoying that, man, I should do that.
Like you talk about Adam and the guy just gets a breakdown.
It's like his champion pool is so psychotic.
Did you guys
it's
watch?
turning me crazy.
I'm just happy because finally we talk about my lane. Finally we have some value, the top lane. It's not fair to play versus Adam, is it, Noah?
I don't know if it's fair. I mean, it's fair. The champion is there. Just it's your choice to play him or not play him. But the fact is that, yeah, Adam looks so uncomfortable to play against. And what Ragnar was highlighting in that interview was not only the champion pool, but the way he roams. It's like he's not there. Maybe he's in the bush trying to ambush me and burning down Ghost, or maybe he's in bot lane taking 2 kills. What are you expecting from Adam? And I really don't think that that kind of flip. I mean, he's calculated in a very particular way.
I mean, perhaps, to also give a little bit of context to some of these stats here when you talk about that calculation. Yes, calculation, solo kills, sure. But again, I feel like some of that gold difference, for example, where he's not necessarily as far ahead as, again, that comes from not always having consistently strong coin flips, right? He's rolling the dice, he's trying to see if he hits 20 or 1. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 20, and it looks good. I think for Segenda, it's, again, more about that consistency where he's waiting for his team to play around him. He gets his own individual lead, yes, but then the rest of his team, because of the lead that he picks up for himself, then comes and builds upon that further so that they can leverage it towards the mid-game.
So let's look into the champion pool of these players. Let's start with Adam on the side of, there we go, Olaf, Darius, and Aatrox. Noah, a little bit different from what we expected from a top laner.
It's like, what do these champions tell you about the person who plays them?
How aggressive do you want to be? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's aggressiveness. It's running forward. These are champions that wants to be meleeing you all the time. He's gonna run you. If he's killed, it's no problem at all. It's like, as Yamada was saying, rolling the dice, a 20 or a 1. But the fact is that 20 is showing up more times than 1.
Let's look to the other side, Yamada.
Yeah, at the moment it is. I think when you look towards Segenda, though, it's a little less about that straight-up aggression in the early game. It's a little bit more, again, about the mid-game team fights, those scaling champions that want to, you know, sort of hit 2 items and then really take over team fights. Gangplank, Gwen, picks like this, even Fiora as well to take over side lane. And that's really where Segenda kind of shines. And that's where I somewhat worry for Adam, because if he's not shutting down some of these mid-game team fighting champions, then maybe Segenda just starts to take over the game.
Yeah.
Yamada, if I may, we look into the GP. It was kind of tweaked, let's call it this way. And my question is, can we put another champion there that is not GP? Maybe Jax?
Jax, yeah. Jax is probably the other champion, which is a bit scary to me, because it's a Segenda special. And again, I think it's one of those champions, if you don't put him down very quickly, he's just going to scale and take over the game.
So I will eventually jump into predictions, but I would like to look into predictions of top lane. Looking into this, and now we can look into this matchup. Who do you think is going to take the lead in the beginning of these games?
I think it's not a fair question because of the Ricker part of the game. Because if Vitality is not able to stop Freaker to move towards that top side to create advantages to Adam, then it's not be a fair 1v1. It's not gonna be a handshake and we just farm. We have no external intervention, to put it some way. So I don't know. I think we're gonna have a lot of action towards the top side, but it's not gonna be on individual purely 1v1 level.
So let's swap it. Let's bring predictions for the teams then. Yesterday, you sucked.
Yes,
let's look into today. Give me
thank you very much.
predictions,
That was
Yamada.
hard.
That was very harsh. What I'll say is I'm expecting 5 games. I think BDSA will take it. In my expert opinion,
Yes.
Smile, I'm going to say that I feel like Vitality B might actually struggle to shut down the mid jungle duo of BDSA. And that's kind of the first step of how BDSA start to play the game. And again, if Vitality B can't shut that down, then I expect that it's going to be BDSA running home with it, but a 5-game series.
Noah.
I copied Yamada's homework. Yeah, a bit. I think it's going to be a 3-2 for BDS Academy as well. I expect 5 maps, as I said earlier, and I think it's going to be on BDSA.
At least we have 5 games. Well, I give my prediction right now. It's going to be 3-2 for Vitality B, just because. But before we jump into the game, we need to introduce to you the casters who are going to be voicing these ones. It is the amazing duo of brothers and Trouble Link. Take it away, boys.
I am so glad.
She's
as
one of the
ever,
boys now.
She's always been made part of the boys. I'm so glad that she's
We're the
included.
boys!
Exactly, we're the boys. And we're very happy to be here bringing you some critical LFL v LFL action here in the quarterfinals of the Amazon European Masters. And what a matchup it is set up to be, because this is going to be a bloodbath on paper.
I mean, on paper, especially after that game that Dusty had against LDLC, where they faltered a little yesterday, we could actually be looking at a best-of-5 to determine maybe our new tournament favorites.
I mean, it could be the case. Both Vitality B and BDSA have been trying the hardest this past 2 years to make it to the main stage. And finally, that they're here, at least we know that another team from the LFL is going to be making those semifinals. So there is a loser today, but the region overall comes across as a winner, nevertheless.
Sure. We're sending a team forward from here, from the LFL. One of them will finally be knocked out of this version of the competition, which is not something that these two teams are alien to either. They've had some rocky roads in the past.
No, they're not. And like, for Vitality, they are the team that's made EU Masters, then got knocked out in play-ins, failed to make EU Masters at all. Even this tournament, right, they had that incredible play-ins run where they were 6,000 gold up on average every game at 15 minutes and then hit the groups. They come out second, the only LFL team to come out of their group second. they're going up against BDSA as well, who aren't exactly strangers to the rough road themselves.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, and please take everything that I say with a pinch of salt, because you know we have the NLC vs LFL rivalry, but like BDSA and Vitality B have been the quote-unquote shame of the LFL, right? Failing to make it out of play-ins, having that full LEC team from the side of Vitality B, BDSA being the only team from the LFL to not make it past the group stage over in spring. And right here, they know that one of the two has actually passed their hurdles and made it all the way to the semi-finals, and also solidifying themselves for potentially taking the #1 spot. Because let's not forget, KC, who won it all in spring, came through play-ins. They didn't come in as the first seed of the LFL.
What that means is that this is an unprecedented opportunity to have your redemption arc. One of these teams isn't going to get that. We're into that first game to see who strikes first in this battle to control the narrative about these two teams' histories.
Right, a whole new chapter, and a positive one for when those histories haven't been as popular. And now, of course, as we're into that draft, as you mentioned, BDSA on the blue side, Vitality B on the red. Jungle bans are the focus from Vitality B. A little bit more mixed for BDSA right now.
And I think that when it is coming to these junglers, we know that both these teams have very much used their junglers to kind of wrecking ball through the top side of the map, particularly Skins, right? As I see Lince is actually on the Champions League, like, he's not here today.
He's joined Vitality B briefly.
I'm just like, wow, he did play really well yesterday, but there's actually another really good jungler by the name of Skeens, who has been so important to the side of Vitality B. He's not going to get his hands on Trundle, but Cher also not going to get his hands on some of those earlier skills. But while this year has been a bit of a pain for me as an Ahri main, LFL Ahri's just hit different. It was common.
They baited you.
I was baited. I was so baited. I was so used to seeing it yesterday.
I am very surprised to actually see the Caitlyn being picked right here, because for both BDSA and Vitality B, the story has been all about the top laners. Who is the strongest top laner? They play towards the top side of the map. They gank towards the top side of the map. And of course, when you have Adam that wants to run down his opponent, you're expecting to see something very strong for him. Quick reminder, over in spring, it was all about Crownie in the bot lane. It was gank for Crownie, level 3, level 4, level 5, until he's far ahead enough to carry the entire game. And with the Caitlyn being locked in here, I'm expecting really strong ganking junglers. Maybe something like the Sejuani that we've seen here. It could be a flex to try and facilitate for that pressure down bot.
Absolutely, and you know, you can see the bans there from BDSA trying to facilitate, right? They get rid of the Kalista, they get rid of the Draven, two things that Jeskla is kind of known for all they have been playing towards the top side. We have seen the occasional more aggressive pick out at the side of Vitality B, and they've gone looking potentially towards an Aphelios here, but it is going to be into that Caitlyn.
All right. So when you lock in something like this Aphelios with the Karma, there is just that chance of just the explosive level 6, actually sometimes earlier kill threat. And the way that you shut down a Caitlyn is you just break them early. One death on a Caitlyn is the same as like 2 or 3 deaths on another champion. When Caitlyn dies, things go very, very wrong from that point. Problem is getting to that point, right? We saw games like Rogue versus Mad Lions, actually in the LEC, where they picked out a Caitlyn lane, and if it doesn't get going well early, things get awkward.
Now, what I really like from Vitality B is that the second they see the Caitlyn, they take away the Karma. The other two really good pairings for the Caitlyn is the Lux and the Morgana. Morgana really does suffer into Karma, because Karma really easily, with Mantra, you can break that Black Shield and then you chain up your CC onto whatever the target is, right? So right here, I'm expecting to potentially see something like a Lux, which also opens opportunities towards that bot side of the map for ganks. Karma and Aphelios, yes, they're very good at pushing, but they're also extremely immobile, especially before the Gale Force onto the Aphelios.
And the other thing that you're looking for now, actually, is I'm looking over at Vitality B saying, okay, if you know that the Caitlyn's going to be locked in like this, you're playing towards pressure bot side, and you're against an Azir, which is kind of the uncontested priority mid right now. It was Ahri a little bit earlier into the year, but if you play Azir, Azir tends to get banned nowadays. That's locked in. Now I'm looking at Diplex and saying, all right, well, what are you going to lock into this mid lane now? You're not going to have that Sylas, which can threaten that pick. You can maybe lock in something like a Talia, which can help kind of roam across the map, and actually it is going to be that...
We'll get the matchup anyway.
You've got it anyway.
I'm so glad I got to talk about this, and then at least it's still useful at some point in the Champion Select.
Fun fact, the Ahri statue that is on the casters is actually Nightmare's own one he brought from home. It was so big, they had to move it to the side of the desk.
The conversation went something like this. Hey, Artrum, do you want to be Pantheon today? And I was like, well, if that's going to happen, I'll fire back in my own way. But
the other conversation is trouble. You have to sit on the side because the statue will cover you. Well, jokes on you, Alex. It covers you too.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
All right,
Just
back on the champ
Yeah.
select. So, Aatrox has been one of these picks that I call an AD mage. Basically, it's really easy for him to farm. He doesn't necessarily have any really hard counters over in lane. And also, when you have Sigenda, who has been one of the most versatile top laners we have seen in the league, playing from tanks to enchanters to mages to the typical fighters that we see. Oh,
okay.
That is pretty
Wow.
insane. We see that. I want to finish the point right there that Aatrox is one of the most stable picks that you can pick right now and play it into anything.
And what benefits Aatrox is more healing. So what a lot of people don't quite realize until it happens right in front of them is that when Aatrox pops ults, it's not only his healing which is increased, it's all sources of healing. So if Aatrox pops ult, you get a wish coming in. You get like a 1W from the Soraka. You are back to full in all situations. The Soraka can very much help towards Adam's impact in these fights as well. But we have a proper fist fight lane in this top side. While you do have this ranged champion of the Aatrox, Camille closes the distance and can take good trades.
I'm not a big fan though, because when there's a Sejuani later on and a Nazir into a team fight, and we of course know that Adam really likes to stick into his lane and sort of like run all the way towards that Nexus through that top lane. Sigenda is the type of player that will play aggressive in his lane, but he will always look to group to help his team in these team fights. And having Soraka with silence around and healing, having the Azir to shove you out of your ultimate, having the Sejuani to be proccing these stuns, Sigenda's gonna truly have to find the perfect flanks to play the game.
But you do have a Wukong with target access. You have an Arya that can follow up too. I think that Sigenda is going to be sat here kind of going, yes, you need to look for those longer range angles, right? Look for those engages, but you have a lot of ability to skirmish on the side of Vitality B.
Yeah.
If it comes to the 5v5s and everyone's already there, you got to favor the Aatrox backed up by all this healing. On the other side, if you get fights before it comes into the big fights, I think Vitality B have more tools.
Completely agree. And honestly, in the green room, we were having this discussion that honestly, for once, the Amazon EU Masters, the champion picks, the playstyles haven't been as varied as they often been in past tournaments. This is a little bit different, actually. We've got that Caitlyn and the Soraka, something the Soraka has kind of come up a little bit over recent weeks. We saw it paired with the Kalista of all things, so pretty damn scary over in the LEC, of course. And now I'm kind of excited to see how this works with the Aatrox, as you were saying. I'm pretty down for this game already.
Someone's been taking some notes from
Right.
Rogue. Someone's been taking some notes from Rogue.
Right?
Copy my homework, just to make it obvious.
Well, if it can win you the LEC, maybe it can win you game one here of this all-important quarterfinals.
Yes, it can. And as we head out onto the Rift, nothing super scary happening at the level 1. No early invades, at least right now. It looks like the 5-man fan. Just give us a moment here to look over the champions. And is there anywhere in particular you feel like we ought to be turning our eyes? I feel like the Caitlyn lane, surely.
Absolutely. And again, this is a stylistic swap for BDSA from over in spring. When they came into EU Masters, it was all about Crownie. Get Crownie ahead, gank for Crownie, mid lane roams for Crownie, get him ahead, he's gonna carry your game. That didn't get them far enough in the tournament though, and stylistically they've changed so much from then to now, playing towards Adam, having Adam being that pivotal factor of their victories. Now suddenly we're jumping into this best of 5 and they've swapped gear.
And if this is going to be a redemption arc, this is one way to do it, to put some notes on the table and say, all right,
we can play both.
We can play both. We can do both. Even though BDS Academy have typically played towards the top side in this tournament so far, and of course over the course of this summer, it is a switch up.
Let's turn our eyes to that top-up matchup, though, because it's still a pretty exciting one. And we prepped a couple interesting graphics, because these two top laners have been monstrous. When we were prepping for this series, we went to these laners for a reason.
And looking at these stats, I think there are some interesting things you can pull out of it. The way that we kind of saw it from watching the footage is that Adam was the lane player. Sigenda was very much about the team fights, but they're both good at both. Look at that CS difference. That is unholy.
That's ridiculous.
Adam, when he gets that advantage, tends to stay in a side lane, and that's why he's got these 6 solo kills. He just forces onto one person and says, put up or shut up, we're going to start fighting at this point. Sigenda tends to bring that into the team fights.
And that is very important, right? Because when we're talking about suddenly changing and playing towards that bot side of the map, your top laner with the Camille being able to roam, locking down this key target is going to be very important. But also, I'm really scared, man, because you did say that Adam does tend to stick to the side lane, and now he's on his Aatrox, where he has
this is great.
4 out of 6 of his solo kills.
We've got an Ignite in the lane, we've got 2 fighter champions, get to have a real French fist fight in
and
the top
also,
lane.
him staying on the side lane, being able to do almost 600 damage on a champion is absolutely absurd. So BDSA do have the chances of playing towards the side lanes. You did mention how the mid lane for Ahri suffers as well versus the Azir, right? A lot of poke. So maybe we'll also see Rika choosing and picking which lane he wants to roam to first.
Completely agree, and it does mean there's two volatile matchups, both top and bot, which could end up flipping this game pretty heavily. And as it stands right now, it's been a bit of a fist fight in both. You can see both sides trying to play for the control of the lanes, and I'm kind of waiting now to see what happens with each other and where they want to gank.
I think what I'm really excited for this, because yesterday it felt like a lot of draft difference, particularly when it came into the 5v5s. This game,
Don't hurt me, Alex, please.
Please stop. The NLC casters are crying already.
Yeah. but it came down to a lot of the champions who are on the board just gave inherent advantages. In this game, it is actually a lot on execution. It's on actually, are you the better player in this game, in this lane, when it comes to those skirmishes? And to see two high-level teams within this tournament go toe-to-toe and say, this is on execution, as a viewer, that's what I want to see. Who's actually the best here mechanically?
And also, if it comes down to outplaying mechanically, who's the better skill-wise? Vitality B have 5 ex-LEC players on their roster. If somebody's gonna skill check you, it is them. If somebody's gonna start the fights for them, it's most likely gonna have to be Skins. Skins solidified himself as most likely, if anything, probably the best EU Masters jungler we had over in spring when it comes down to the skill level and the mechanical prowess that he's bringing in. Talking about mechanical prowess.
That's both bot and mid lane there. Yeah, let's say taking some fairly hefty trades.
What's happened there is, you know, Diplex, he's picked actually my favorite skin on Ahri. It's an S plus tier rated.
Does it do more damage?
It does when I play it.
Is it like red stripes on cards?
It's like Go Faster Stripes. You pick the Foxfire Ahri. That's actually the anniversary, the Ahriversary chroma. When they put everything in there.
Stop. You're hurting.
It's because it was the Korean server release. It's the colors of the Korean flag. So it's the same kind of chroma. There you go. It's nice. Gives you more damage. Heard it here first.
Ahri trivia incoming because of course it is with Nymera on the
we
cast.
Need to get, we need to get you like a bingo card. Is Nymera gonna mention Ahri?
Yeah, well, yes.
Drink one shot of water.
Is that not a free space?
Stay hydrated.
Like, just immediate.
We can get people hydrated. If Nymera says the word Ahri,
you can stay hydrated while you dunk your opponents as well, like you can see in this laning phase. And yeah, I think that the Ahri versus Azir matchup is, I mean, we saw it on the paper there, right? Or on the screen. You can have strong trades back and forth. It really is about Azir constantly pushing in and then Ahri, much like in the Taliyah matchup, we saw that a lot more actually recently in terms of looking for the gank setup. And we can see that both junglers were hovering around that mid lane. You can see what Sho's just trying to do. Just secure that lane, get some vision. It allows you to push towards his bot side, use that priority and keep the Caitlyn pushing in at the same time.
And also these two teams have never met in a best of. Over in the LFL playoffs, Vitality B were actually coming from the lower bracket and BDSA made it all the way to the final, so they never ended up meeting. This is the first best of series that we get to see between these two teams, and I really like what you said about priority. Of course, Azir gives you prior, Caitlyn lanes give you a lot of prior, which means that Shio is the first one into this river, knowing that he does have the priority and help of his bot lane as well as his Azir, but Skins is looking around for a gank. That's a level 6 Azir though, I wouldn't be too worried.
Absolutely, and I do want to touch on that Sheo pick, because the Sejuani is not strictly what we'd always associate with this guy, who does love to skirmish on very aggressive champions
he did get all his junglers banned.
True. While Sejuani can kind of find those really good melee matchups for those early trades, it is a little bit more of a tank pick. It is a little bit more of a slightly scaling option in some ways, and I do want to see how we manage to play out on a champion that's not always his wheelhouse, but maybe instead to touch on what could have been a dive, but Skins decides maybe against that.
This is actually really interesting because what we've come to expect from these teams across summer, coming into Amazon EU Masters as well, is that they're very aggressive around top side of the map. They find their ways to find their aggressive plays, but I think when you have both of the, it's not even an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. It's an unstoppable force versus another unstoppable force, and they're somewhat neutralizing each other. They're not finding their big plays just yet. They're looking for them. You can see that, of course, Skins was looking for the top lane dive, but it's not led to anything yet. Hammer Blow is yet to fall.
And at least we see what Skins is looking to do on the map, right? For Vitality B, it's all about Skins and his early aggression, the early picks on the map, making sure you gank for your laners, you get them ahead. We said again, his mechanical prowess is above the roof, and right now playing that Wukong where you can gank early, you have that level 6 later on as well to try and pull some ganks down. Let's not forget that Wukong was also the name of the game in our series yesterday. junglers really heavily prioritize the champion, and it is due to that early game prowess that he has, sneaking through the walls, trying to get these dives, ganking very early on. Let's see if Skins is going to be able to use that champion after he hits that level 6 to try and get any of his laners ahead. I'm particularly looking towards something maybe like this here, get your arrow ahead, start roaming.
Absolutely. 15 seconds until Herald, which might be a kickoff point for that. And I do also want to call out, Jeskla forced Crownie and Erdoti back with a little help from Jack Troll. Early on, they got two plates, in fact, early on, into a Caitlyn lane, which is not necessarily what you expect. Of course, Karma helps change that matchup a little bit with priority, but that's still really good news for Vitality B. And a rough one for BDSA considering what they drafted.
Exactly, right? Because you have priority mid, which helps you secure priority box. You know that mid lane isn't going to roam down towards your lane easily. And even with that, plates down, CS going to the advantage of the Aphelios and the Karma. Of course, Karma is just such an annoying champion to play against in the laning phase, but still, even with that, Vitality B's bot lane, one which we have had some worries about in this tournament. Of course, the Unicorns of Love really, really dunked on in their first game against them in the group stage. They are turning up well in game 1, at least through the laning phase.
Now, of course, keep our eyes on the game as it's going on. It is, as we said, a relatively stable one. Maybe that does give us a moment to really touch on some of the stories of these teams, because BDSA in particular were the second place team in spring. They looked so good, and then they come into summer. They're playing weird, non-roaming mid matchups like Corki, the Victor. It's looking a little bit lost. They suddenly switch to getting Rika onto Pixie and get out of lane, make roaming plays, and suddenly they look like a completely different team. But we don't have time because Sheo lands an ultimate and gets first blood. Karma is down.
Okay, you know what? That flash from Crownie was maybe either psycho or genius. I'm gonna call it a psycho genius, because from him to flash away, it meant that Jeskla and Jackdaw probably had kill pressure on him. That's why he flashed away. But Sheo was around the entire time. So when Jeskla and Jackdaw fell safe to pressure for that kill, to pressure for that way to be pushed, Sheo was there to capitalize onto Jackdaw, and that is the first kill. Unfortunately for them, it does go onto a Sejuani. It's not the target you want it on, especially when you have a Caitlyn bot lane. But nevertheless, it is a kill, it alleviates pressure, but then you also have the swap in the top lane where the Herald goes over.
Gonna get a full replay of this. You see the empowered Q land. It's in the retreat path from Crownie as well. If an Ignite comes through, maybe it's a little worrying, but I feel like that flash is not particularly necessary.
I'm telling you, Psycho Genius. He makes them feel safe.
There you go. Whoa, wow, they're so safe right now. Get absolutely blasted by the level 6 of the Sejuani. You've been safe in the 1v1 so far, been able to, as Sam was saying, get that scaling nature online. It's not like Skins has managed to find that much across the map, which is not something we are used to seeing from Vitality B, especially at this tournament.
Do you want to call out, though, that while that replay was happening and the bot plays happened, Skins did get the Herald, so does at least trade that one. So while there's not been that much proactivity per se, at least there was a trade. And we have occasionally seen this from Vitality B, where Skins does have those quieter early games, and that sometimes come back to haunt them, at least in group stage particularly.
I think right here it's absolutely fine, especially because your Aphelios lane that was supposed to be behind is actually ahead. You can get down bot, get the turn on your bot lane wave, get that tower down, and when the Caitlyn who's supposed to be the aggressor is the first one to lose the tower, that means you need to swap your Caitlyn out of that lane, and the Vitality B can match the same way. Now of course Sheo is down bot lane, but Jeskla and Jackdaw still have their flashes available from that previous gank, so they shouldn't be too worried.
Speaking of being worried, there is a standard Adam mid lane gank roam, but Diplex has himself an ultimate that was well played. I'm watching Nymera clap his hands there because he was very pleased with the hands
That was really slick. Knows that you don't dash backwards against the Azir. If you can dash forward, so you're going away from that ultimate where it's being cast, that works out better. Adam, also a player that loves to roam. We don't see that many top lane roamers anymore, but Adam finds an angle to get towards mid.
The infamous level 4.
Yeah, exactly. But then Diplex, he's got his thinking hat on there, and he goes, okay, right, how do I get out of this one? Chooses the right angle, and while it is an aggressive play from BDS, it doesn't lead to anything.
On the other hand, though, it's Genda now roaming down that river towards the top side. He has been spotted, of course, he was pinged out. But it seems like both of these top laners are taking turns in trying to impact the map with the ganks. Now, Skins over on the bot side of the map, look at that. They have a turn, they're pushing the wave, they're popping the Herald, textbook.
They're going to try and take one. Crownie's taken so low, and he's just gone! Eviscerated in a moment, and the Herald will charge afterwards. Rika's turned up, but not in time to save the tower. It falls. Diplex here as well. It's a 3v4. Sheo flashes away. Rika trying to trade out the crown of the Shattered Queen, plus his passive will allow some danger. Jeskla changed out, taken so low. Not quite burned out though and stays alive. It's a 1 for Numb plus Vitality get the first tower.
Very well done macro-wise. This is why Skins did not care shadowing that bot lane because the Aphelios, Karma had been pushing down and they want more.
It's not done. Rika's now trying to shift back, but it's still a 3v2. Dirty is trying to keep himself alive. Goes the wrong way! That backstep was phenomenal. Skins plays it so well now. Dirty being ignited, but Jack Troll has to flash back out because of the damage coming through. What a series of plays.
French fist fight, but not in the top lane. It's in the bot half of the map. It's in that bot lane.
Is it done?
Diplex, no ult, has the flash. We have to use it.
We had a quiet 12 minutes. It's not quiet anymore. Diplex has got a flash, but not enough time. The ace in the hole comes through. Sheo gets a second kill. And what on earth just happened?
It took us about 12 minutes. Now we've got the fighting online.
I don't know how worth it is to actually flash when there's a Caitlyn around with an ultimate because they're going to run you down and eventually you're just going to die to that long-range ult from the Caitlyn. So Diplex not only loses his life right there, but loses his flash. So next time they're going to force his ultimate off of mid lane, they can re-enter and re-gank or force him into situations where without ultimate you can't team fight.
I'm trying to think where to recap on this, because we had a lot happen in a very short period of time. Now we have that bot side.
The replay's gonna help.
Replay, tell us what we're recapping bot side. Lovely, cool. That's where we're going to start from. So you have the Herald, you know it's going to hit somewhere, and Vitality B finally find some time to get towards bot side themselves. It normally was Sheo in the earlier parts of the game, finding more time to get down there on Sejuani, but managed to push in. You've got a couple of ultimate options from Yescla in terms of utility. You've got the Graviton binding Eclipse, but then there's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Lands right on top of them. Cyclone through as well. BDS Academy underestimating the damage, and Crownie, not for the first time already, overstepping a little.
And this is very grim news when you have the Caitlyn in your team, and the Caitlyn is the first one to lose the tower, because right now you have to put your Caitlyn either in the mid lane or the top side of the map where Vitality B will be able to match.
What is going on? Adam did not want that one. The guy comes down into the ultimate. There's no way out. The healing's not bad. That looks like the wish. And now Shigenda's in trouble. The teleport's coming through. And Adam outplays it now. How dead is Shigenda? The shuffle forwards. Command attack is not required because that's, of course, Orianna. But the ultimate still secures the kill.
Oh, and Diplex saw Rika TP in front of his face, but he was very unwilling to pull his ultimate to stop him with the charm.
And you know what is super, super annoying about that for Sigenda? You had the empowered Soraka ult, because you pop the ultimate from the Aatrox and you get bonus healing. You think, oh my gosh, a lot of damage. Q2 comes through, avoids the second part of the W, but pops the Soraka ultimate. Actually doesn't have the Aatrox ultimate. I'm telling a lie at that one, but still, Soraka assisting across the map, Rika doing the same, and he finally hits an ultimate, but it's an important one.
Yes, it is. Gets the roam off. It's what we've been praising Rika for all tournament long. Hell, the second half of the LFL as well, from what we're hearing from some of those LFL analysts like Middlecott, Rudu, those guys out there doing so much work explaining how they were playing, right? They were giving us so much info, and that's what we wanted to see. That's the kind of play that brings BDSA back into the game, because finally, their 100% first tower rate died in that bot lane, and they get back into a gold lead here with some good plays top.
And I really like seeing Rika in this form as well, right? You mentioned how Ari really does suffer into the Azir. What does he do? He keeps pressuring lanes, and then he was dipping into the river. He was dipping into Fog of War. People had to pull back, and Sheo maybe be looking for Jack Troll.
Lands the Glacial Prison. There's an ace in the hole as well, and there is no way for the Jack Troll to go. Throws down his shield. It does not matter. Adam does pop the ult, but that's about all that's really
cost.
It's
just style points.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a couple of times now, though, that it's BDS Academy who are first into the river, and it's because actually they still get the ability to engage very quickly on a whim. Dirty in the correct place to follow up even with Soraka's more conditional CC, but Vitality B getting a little bit out skirmished, regardless of where they are on the map.
And I think especially when that Caitlyn is not in the river to stop you with the traps, to try and set up for their team. I think Vitality B, they need to be bunching up a little bit more, bundling up together with Jack Troll, because this is the problem when you lose vision in a particular part of the map. When your support is squishy, you need to bundle up together with someone else, or you're going to end up losing your life. And Jack Troll has lost his life twice so far.
And you know, Vitality B, they have a team composition which allows them to pile onto fights like that if they were looking to contest. And we know Vitality B, like, I call them kind of like the Cowboys of European Masters.
Yes.
It's
okay, please do explain.
It's guns at noon, draw, and they'll just try and skill check you. They love to just jump on fights. Like, I love the trouble. Was like, what? Like, I get that it's a stretch. I find it funny, so that's actually all that matters at this point. But Vitality B, they have a team composition that can pile on. They can skill check, but they're not buying into these fights right now. Are they going on to Adam?
Ooh, they're going to try. Couldn't quite land the hook shot, and Adam gets to walk on out of there. Gank attempt not going to quite work. Trouble, looks like you got something for
I
me.
don't quite think they could have killed him there with the members that they had, because Wish is online from Ardote as well. So I think this Aatrox was playing way too close to his tower, so somebody was going to share a bunch of tower shots, plus the healing from Soraka coming through. And this is that +1 that Adam gets to have by playing that side lane. The fact that Soraka is going to be your pocket heal if you get into sticky situations.
But the thing is, though, the way that play failing is actually kind of annoying at this point, because look at the amount of wards you got down here. So many dotted around. You're looking at this point where BDS Academy needed to survive on that bot side, even against that vision. They do so, and it allows them to make a play mid. Vitality B, they had the perfect setup to go bot side, don't find anything for it, which means they're not really in position to defend against the Herald.
A minute until the Dragon as well. You just saw the Moonlight Vigil well shifted away from there with the EQ of the Azir from Rika, who now finds an ultimate onto Skeens, taken pretty low. He's going to go down pretty low, but that phenomenal Glacial Prison followed up with the ace in the hole, brings him down, and the healing onto Crownie means he's going absolutely nowhere anytime soon. Keeps going forward though, does Rika, who is on a tear right now. Diplex has got the ultimate to get out to safety, but they get the pick, they get the mid lane pressure, they'll likely get the tower to follow, and Dragon spawning in 20-odd seconds. Great sequence of plays.
That is disaster for Vitality B. You mentioned, Namera, all these beautiful wards that the Ahri or the Camille could TP on once BDSA were in this river trying to contest for the Dragon, but Skeens dying early means not only you lose your tower, you lose your life, you lose priority in this river, and you really want that objective. And I will say this again, Vitality B are way too split on the map, and BDSA are stacking together as a unit, and the threat through with the ultimate from Crownie to find Skeens right there means you have no smite, you have no point being in the river.
And BDS Academy, they're always going to be an advantage if it's just a straight up 5v5. We could kind of tell that, but Vitality B, maybe they can skirmish the way out of it.
Going, Skeens gets one cycle, looking for another. It's a massive knockup. Remember, Crownie burned the flash last time around, but he's being healed up thanks to the Soraka. No one is dead quite yet, but the health bars on BDSA are pretty damn low, and it means that Vitality B, despite losing pressure in the mid lane, will likely claim the Dragon.
Shio has ult again though, and he's looking.
Gets a Dragon, but can he get on out? That's the question. But he's just healing so much over the wall that Soraka's keeping him whooping.
No way.
Not in a 5 as well. They're teleporting in. They want this fight. Oh my God! The Emperor divides Vitality B from their lives. Rika with a quadra kill straight out of the, well, top drawer. Nowhere else to find it.
And he's put Vitality B into like the 9th circle of hell. The river runs red. Sheo stays alive for such an ungodly amount of time, and they don't even choose to disengage. They buy in. Vitality B, they've just been socked in the face.
Oh man, that was like add insult to injury. You start this Dragon, you know it's yours, it gets stolen away, your entire team gets aced, you lose your bot lane tower, quadra kill for the Azir. And let's get to see this again, because Shio's ult just came up and he has not missed. The second he dives into the pit, he steals the Dragon away. And look at that, Adote is keeping him alive through the wall. Whilst Adam and Rika had the chance that Vitality B should have had 30 seconds ago and get that perfect flank into the quadra kill for the Azir. I mean, when you've got the ult and you just shove them all at the back of the pit.
Yeah, that wasn't Empress Divide, that was an Empress Square route, because they went real small after that one.
That was an Emperor Squish.
Oh my God.
You guys.
The physics graduate was just very upset with me.
Yeah. I don't really have much more to add on to that. Just seeing that play again in slow motion, it adds so much more pain to it. And it is a champion that just continually gets banned. If people play this champion, it's often on that ban list. And Vitality B, they have to try and find themselves a way through the Emperor's Divide once again. BDS Academy not quite going to finish off on this Baron.
And I'm just going to say Vitality B are just trying to get in for some vision. Check through.
Takes so much damage. Adam is really feeling this, but they're healing on Odette. Diplex over the wall, doing what he can. Adam finally falls and have the BDSA overstepped. Diplex continuing to try and find more Skeens into the backside, but takes so much damage. Shale still alive, throws down the Glacial Prison. Diplex really wants it. That's a charm. That's onto Crownie, who will use that 90 caliber net to get on out to safety. Adam dies, no one else falls.
That was so close because there was a charm mid-fight over the wall onto the Soraka. That meant there were a lot of warning sirens at that point for BDS Academy. Vitality B finally able to use some of that superior mobility and a bit of that burst to try and take down that first kill.
And look at when Vitality B chose to take this fight. Top lane wave was pushing, mid lane wave was pushing, bot lane wave was pushing. So they're like, BDSA are either going to have to respond to one of these waves or try and fight us in fog of war. You overextend. Vitality B have a perfect composition to peel backwards.
And I think this is why they're going towards the Baron. They see the state of the waves on the map and they say, all right, if we split to try and answer these these waves. Our composition doesn't succeed as well at that point. We want to be grouping up. We can force them to us and away from those lanes which they can play off of by starting that objective. It's going to be another cancel though. Does mean that Vitality B, of course, couldn't return to those pushing lanes. Now though, BDS Academy able to try and sort them out on their own.
And the thing is, slowly but surely, there's a 6,000 gold lead that's been built up for BDSA, but having that Caitlyn, knowing that with the Caitlyn composition, you need to be the first one to be in the river, you need to set up down your traps, you need to be allowing people to walk through these choke points to you, and then you have the Sejuanis, the assists, so many peeling tools, you can throw them back or even engage upon them, and Vitality B want to skill check you, they want to find you 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, with the Ahri, the Camille, the Wukong, that's why they picked them, and there, it almost worked for them, isolating them on target and taking them down.
While we've got this breather, though, I think it's probably time to remind people not to forget to claim their August/September League of Legends monthly capsule for all those Prime shoppers out there for your chance to get that RP, Mythic Essence, and all the other lovely goods you get within that. Don't miss it. It's free, guys. If you've got that Prime, may as well get your free stuff.
And look how cool this Soraka skin is.
Right?
You could be playing Soraka and getting some free love.
Is this the moment where we say that maybe Yuumi wasn't entirely the problem? Maybe it's just the fact that healing is really busted right now.
See, the thing is,
Van Yuumi and Soraka's coming in the game.
Don't say it anymore, please.
I'm just saying. At least you can kill the Soraka. At least they are actually.
Can you?
At least they are actually targetable. It gives the
Namera.
illusion of being able to.
Look, not this Soraka.
Oh dear. Look, I'm trying to do my best to like reason with this existential crisis that Vitality B are finding themselves in right now, because this is a composition from Vitality B. Kind of did want to skirmish early. Really needed to. You've got a lot of champions which can snowball out of control. And you know that anyone on this top side can really do that from Vitality B, but they kind of struggled. You know, they didn't find those early fights with Vitality B losing out on those first punches. And they're losing control of the map now that they've fallen into this huge deficit.
And I think right here also Vitality B are sort of forfeiting the third dragon as well, because it's only 15 seconds. But they don't necessarily really have any setup, they don't have any wards behind the enemy lines to TP for Sigenda or Deepwood to find these flanks, so,
Well, while that's happening, BDSA will get the shove in mid lane, and I think part of the reason they were trying to avoid that fight is look at that discrepancy in mid lane items. I said hats off to Rika earlier, he decided he's going to put it right back on, and it's a mighty one indeed, a death cap to 1.5 items on the other side of the Ahri. Just such discrepancy that's causing a big problem in these team fights.
And that's one of the huge reasons why Vitality B aren't committing to the larger fights anymore. They've been shown up in a number of them, and oh my word, the fight around the last dragon. What a fight that was, to call back to it. But recap, wherever he is on the map, Vitality B don't want to be. Vitality B splitting up the map, taking some turrets across the board, giving themselves maybe some options to play around. Say this ward actually that's just been shown on screen as well. Just play around a little bit of that deep vision, split the map, see if you can catch out someone in rotation. I think that's Vitality's maybe only way back into the game.
I think right here you're probably looking for an Azir on a side lane, because two items have been completed on the side of Vitality B, so this is the time that you want to be fighting, taking some skirmishes around the map. Again, Wukong, Ahri, both are very strong, combining with someone like Camille, who can lock somebody in place and allow that Ahri and the Wukong to get into that backline, take a shutdown possibly onto Rika's Azir. 600 gold, start cashing in, getting these items will potentially help you, and of course, Aphelios is such a much better teamfight hyper carry than this Caitlyn. So if you do somehow funnel even more gold into Jeskla, one right teamfight, one right Moonlight Vigil can turn things around.
You know who might be a better hyper carry team fighter than actually both of them? Actually, Soraka. Soraka is one of these rare champions which is actually a hyper carry despite not doing damage, because Soraka keeps everyone else alive. You need to burst down those targets before a second W comes through, otherwise things get so difficult. Fight brewing again, Baron started.
Jackal at least has that Chemtech Putrefy, but maybe not for much longer, because he's about to fall down. No, he stays alive. Now he's going to try and keep his way out. The Witch comes down. Massive damage onto Skeeto. Crowdy is down though on the other side. Shishengta finally gets into the backline. Diplex can be able to try and save his top laner, but it's a double for Rika already. You can write the equation. It goes like this. Rika's Emperor's Divide onto Vitality B equals a Game 1 victory for the Academy squad for BDS.
This is absolutely disgusting. Adam goes down to like 200, 300 HP and just walks his health bar right back up towards Vitality B. They lose one, they lose Crowdy on the Caitlyn, but that is not nearly enough to shut them out of this fight.
And it looked so good, honestly, for Vitality B. Again, if you're Vitality B, you want to be isolating 1 or 2 targets, splitting BDSA apart, not allowing that front to back with the Sejuani, the Azir, and the Caitlyn. And they almost managed to do that had it not been for Adam's Aatrox getting 1 reset to run down the entire team fight.
At the start of the game, we were talking about how it was actually Skander who was really the team fight top laner. Adam, he'd stuck towards side lane, stuck towards a lot of these individual 1v1s. Adam in this team fight is so strong.
I want to highlight Skander though, because look at him. He comes through with a TP and instantly dives onto Crown Shot, takes down that Caitlyn. Together splits apart the team in 2 fronts. But the second he ends up going down and giving that reset over to Adam, Aatrox getting resets will just run over your entire team.
It's the problem of playing the Camille. Once you are in,
you're in.
You're in. The only way you get out is with the enemy dies first. As soon as you go down, Adam has the staying power because you have the Soraka, you've got your ult resets. That movement speed means that you are definitely chasing people down, and you can see the difference between those 2 top laners in the second half of the fight. They get their first targets, but then it is Adam with the staying power after that.
Watch Skeens on the flank, though. He has got a potential angle here. He's got a flash and a cyclone and a dream. The problem is he's going up against Odote, who is very dangerous on this Soraka. And what have you got for me, Trouble? You spotted something.
was spotted on a control ward, which then nullifies the flank that Skins also had on there, unspotted actually. So that kind of ruins the plans for Vitality B to spread apart and try to find a flank, try to find a pick. But right here, I think this is going to be last stand for them. The tower is almost falling. They've got another one behind them for BDSA, and Vitality B, what have you got? This is probably the last team fight.
Yeah, well, you got to try and split. You can't. You actually, I was about to say, you have to try and split them up, find those single targets again. You're not going to be given that option. You're against a hyper siege comp. Lots of poke coming out from the Azir, range from the Caitlyn too. These towers are falling like a hot knife through butter. Vitality B not really able to wave play. So the Caitlyn traps were put up in front of the tower. They put to the side alongside that Sun Disc from Azir. It's so hard to flank. And Jeskla taking solo will throw out the ult, but it's not bad, but it's just not enough. Diplex will find himself skinned. No more lives. He's a fox, not a cat, despite the 9-tail. Shigenda trying to clear the wave will get hit with the ultimate. The Glacial Prism will not secure the kill, however, but the inhibitors fall regardless in a 4v5 with super minions, Baron empowered, beginning to pour into this base. BDSA want this game won. They want it now.
There's nothing Vitality B can do. It's one last dance, but it's right in front of the Nexus, and their Nexus is slowly but surely dying.
In an LFL team kill matchup, the cannibalism occurs and BDSA get game 1. It's a beautifully managed game, and they come out definitively ahead in this first one.
Now, we kind of built this matchup as maybe you can come out of this game, particularly after LDLC looked a little bit shaky yesterday, as tournament favorites.
Yeah.
BDS Academy were the other team in the equation coming out of the group stage. I think in a lot of people's eyes, maybe Game Ward as well, coming out undefeated from their own group, but it really was BDS Academy coming out and saying, actually, this team is damn good. Maybe they have some flaws if they can't play towards their specialties, but in this game, they switched things up of their own accord, and they smashed Vitality B.
Incredible stuff, really. They did a phenomenal job there. And I think especially after that first tower play happened to the bot side, I thought, well, maybe things get a bit rough. The Caitlyn's getting shoved in. But suddenly you start picking up those kills. Suddenly Sheo on that Sejuani does so much work to get things rolling. And turns out Adam
I don't think they miss a single ultimate.
Right? Felt like. And then you finally got that Emperor's Divide that was phenomenal. But I'm afraid we're going to be divided from you very briefly. So we have the analyst desk instead. We'll see you after this break.